All right, another edition of Riding Home as we get ready for the DAWGS. This is going to be the first weekend of spring football. Obviously, Saturdays are a different monster. Sometimes they scrimmage. Sometimes they scrimmage, Ryan.
Are they scrimmaging this Saturday?
We don't think so.
I doubt it.
Do you think that this defensive line with Zylog and company? I mean, where are we really at with this group? You know, I mean, you're losing Jalen Carter. That matters. But you're returning a group that is pretty good, if we're being honest.
Pretty good and pretty experienced, right? Zion Williams, a guy that's been around for a long time. Nazir Stackhouse, a guy that's played a lot he played a little bit in 21, played a lot last year.
Watch it.
I think we're good, man. I think we figured it out.
We're going to see. So Nazir, a good player. And then also
Michael Williams,
Bear Alexander. They had some guys.
Those two second-year guys are gonna make a big difference. They're gonna take that jump. I mean, Nazir Stackhouse is a guy that's going to be. I think there's gonna be a lot asked of him. I think he's probably your number one interior guy now, right? He's the. I thought that he was a more impactful player than Zion Logue last year.
Yes, they have different roles.
So I think he's kind of got. Bear Alexander is going to play a lot. I think that he's got the highest ceiling out of those guys.
Bear Alexander made a lot of plays.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, all I keep thinking about is that TCU game where he was just eating their lunch the whole second half. It felt like. Now, was that because TCU was exhausted? I mean, you tell me. Your vantage point, you watched more of that game than I did. I was working.
Of the TCU game?
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to describe just what they did to TCU. It was just pure, they weren't playing the same sport almost. I mean, I think that Michael Williams is going to break out in a big way. We're going to look at this guy as one of the, I think, best defensive players in college football. Probably midway through the season, I think we're going to be like, well, wow, they got Michael Williams on the edge. He's that kind of guy. He's a Trayvon Walker type of player, and I think he's going to be asked to do more than Trayvon maybe was in his career at Georgia. Remember how loaded those teams were? Trayvon obviously worked his way into being a first-round pick. A lot of that having to do with just his physical attributes. But with Michael Williams, I think he's just going to be on the field more than Trayvon was.
Well, so part of the reason why is because it's not as gifted as that 21 defense, 20 and 21 defense. But the discussion between Trayvon and Michael Williams, Trayvon was bigger, thicker. I feel like he played inside some, whereas I don't think Williams ever has, if I'm not mistaken.
Trayvon moved inside a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. But Trayvon could do so much. I mean, if Williams comes close to what Trayvon's career was like at Georgia, you're doing pretty well. There are not a lot of guys like Trayvon Walker, like just straight freaks. And there were a lot of people on that defense that were really good players. And I think that was what sort of limited Trayvon's time at Georgia playing. But the good news for that was, you have a lot less tread on off the tires, and it didn't affect him being the number one overall pick in the NFL draft. Could Williams be number one? I don't know if he'd be number one. He definitely could be a top 15 pick. I mean, when you're a pass rusher and you can cause problems like that, that's a problem. Now, we're sticking with the line though. Walthour I think is back. If I'm not lying, I'm going crazy here half the time with Walthour. I can't remember. I remember watching him play in Kansas, which was a whole thing. But I think Nazir is a really quality SEC defensive lineman. He's hard to deal with. Then you've got the size of Zion, which is
length.
All these guys have length. Yeah. Maybe Nazir, maybe not as much as others, but. And then Bear. We're missing guys on the edge. I feel like these kind of.
Well, there's a couple of freshmen there. I think that people are really excited about Samuel Mpemba. Yeah. As what he could be as an edge rusher.
You just can't keep. I mean, like if you're Kirby and them, And in 19 they signed Trayvon Walker
And Nolan.
And Nolan, forgot about that. In 20, I can't remember.
Nazir Stackhouse was 20.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like they keep adding people. In 22 they added Bear Alexander and Williams, and like you wonder, where are these next guys coming from? They're coming. I mean,
they're going.
They're there.
They're going to be there.
I just don't even know what to say. Make sure you're picking up Double Dogs. Before we have to make another shipment of them, pick up Double Dogs today. That is available for all of you. Bag of Destiny time. Who is here? Go ahead and grab our Bag of Destiny from Red Zone. What is in it? I hope the camera doesn't go flying.
We got the flag. This is a pretty cool flag, man. Hey, if you're in college and you're a bro with some space on your wall.
What if you're a bra?
If you're a bra,
you have to have one. If you're a bra,
you have to have it.
Like if you're in the fraternity house, all you frats that watch
this belongs in your Alpha Kappa something. So
look at you making fun of people.
I'm actually not making fun.
That is a neat little flag, though. And it had what? Back to back?
Back to back.
Yeah.
It was black with red lettering.
It's nice. But we use Bag of Destiny here. Is there someone we should watch for beyond the guys that we've talked about?
On the defensive line specifically?
I mean, Marvin Jones is going to be out this spring.
He's an edge guy.
He is.
He's more of an outside line.
He's more like
he's a
Nolan.
pass rusher.
Yeah,
He's more like Nolan. To me, Michael Williams is my favorite on the line, just as a guy I think is going to make a huge impact. But I think it's important. They have just so much experience. Think about just being there the last 2 years, the type of experience they have. A guy like Zion Logue and Nazir Stackhouse and Tramel Wathauer, they are back-to-back national champions, right? I'm not saying that about Michael and Bear just because they weren't there for the first one.
Right.
But those guys played they got onto the field.
I can't believe you guys, I'm sorry. That I've not mentioned Warren Brinson is insane.
Warren Brinson. I knew you were right. We were forgetting something. He made some big plays throughout the year. He's he's a good presence too. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. You can tell that the players really like being around Warren Brinson. He's kind of one of those, like, you can tell which teammates are really well loved by the other teammates, and Warren Brinson is one of those guys.
How can we forget? Well, I mean, but I think to some degree that we forgot that.
They're just loaded, man.
They're loaded, but they're not like these players are not just so they're not nondescript. That's the wrong way to put it. They are. You forget about them because there are so many of them, and we saw Zion Logue this week. That's why I'm thinking of Zion Logue. Mikel Williams. Well, I mean, we know what that guy can do. Do you forget? I mean, Nazir is one of the most. I mean, I met him at Stevenson back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he is gregarious and fun. He makes you feel good about the future, just generally speaking. But so don't do dumb stuff, Nazir. After I just said some nice stuff about it, don't do some stuff that's so stupid. But like Nazir can make plays, but you don't think about it.
He blocked the field goal against LSU.
Totally.
That stuff. You look back at that stuff in the future. Is there? I mean, we've got there's a picture of that in Double Dogs.
Of Nazir?
Double Dogs, yeah.
Well, I did mention Double Dogs. I did, and your image from that game is a great one. And
it's a little blurry, but we're dealing with.
Well, it's not that blurry. What are you underselling it for? It's if you don't, the thing I would say about the two, there were two special teams moments. This past season,
and they were in the same
consequential in every single way.
They were in the same stadium.
And if I do say so, your images from both of those are one of the reasons why this is such a good book. You're not going to see those images elsewhere. And one thing that we talked about with Nazir and Darius Smith and like all those guys, every single guy on that play. When you talk to Jalen Carter about like him and
Smith is down the edge.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Are we talking about Marvin Jones or not? I guess not really. That's the thing. Georgia can do so much stuff. I mean, Nolan Smith's a linebacker, but he played. He was up there.
He was on all fours. He's
not a defensive lineman. I guess what I'm trying to say. But if I could spit this out somehow, Jalen, Nazir really felt like they didn't do what they wanted to do on that Ohio State kick.
Well, I think a lot of them felt
They
that
all
way.
felt like that,
I mean,
basically.
they didn't block the kick. The point was to block the kick, right? So they feel like...
But they did block the kick against LSU, which changed that game totally.
They blocked a lot of kicks and punts the last couple years, man.
Because they have good players who are determined to make plays.
Kentucky last year, blocked punt against Arkansas, blocked field goal, Jalen Carter National Championship.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
changed
that game.
A lot of big
I mean, we should really discuss this further in another video, which is that, when you look back and you think about, Georgia's been really dominant, yeah, they have. But in 3 games in particular, 2 of which were just overwhelmingly consequential, if they don't make those plays on special teams, they don't win those games. And for all the guys poo-pooing their situation,
let's be gentle about this.
For all the guys poo-pooing their situation, as it relates to the Ohio State kick, Malachi wanting it, they all wanted to block the kick, but they affected that kick. The down lineman did not, but Keeley was flying off the edge, yada yada. Let me say this: the Alabama game, blocked field goal, was it not? It was blocked, right?
Yes.
Because no one missed one. Blocked. Next play, James Cook down the sideline.
Georgia gets 67 yards.
Georgia gets the lead on that drive for the first time the entire night.
That's the Zamir White touchdown is on that drive.
Correct.
It's the first touchdown of the game.
I will even go back to Clemson in 21, a non-offensive touchdown from Christopher Smith. Okay, but that's not special teams. When you think about the block kick against LSU had momentum in that game. And when Nazir got up there and blocked it, probably wasn't a great kick. If you're blocking it, it's probably not a great kick. But, Nazir blocks it. LSU, you can see this from Ryan's image. LSU is all on one side of the field.
They're not paying attention.
10 of the 11 guys are not looking at all. No. One bro is looking, that's it. And all the Georgia, Christopher's like, should I be doing this? That is like one of the all-time great, plays. And then, of course, as consequential, perhaps a moment in Georgia. And I felt to, think back to the Oklahoma game with Lorenzo blocking that kick there.
I think that we should maybe just make this another video. I mean,
probably.
Think about all the plays that just stick out from the last 2 years alone.
The last 2 years, yes,
so many monumental moments.
And Lorenzo Carter was not a defensive lineman. But all of the play, for how dominant Georgia's been, generally speaking, in the tight games that they've won them because of special teams. Now, it's hurt them sometimes too when they've not won tight games. Rodrigo's miss against Alabama in 18. You go up 17 in that game, Alabama doesn't probably win that game. We don't know, but probably not. And then, the Rose Bowl really mattered a lot. But a lot of these consequential wins have been as a result of, a big special teams play. I shouldn't even mention it in the same breath, but I do talk about the Kentucky game in 16 a lot. Georgia really came alive, and that game was won when Rodrigo became Rodrigo on the game-winning kick there after Jacob Eason took him down the field. But like Nazir, Zion Logue, all these guys were out there on that block kick with Jalen Carter. And Ohio State, on the block kick as well as Ohio State. Ohio State was holding Georgia like crazy on that kick. Those officials were not going to throw the flag.
Malachi was held.
And so they're just not going to. But when you think about all those plays, guys like Nazir, who's coming back, and Zion Logue, we will see what Bear Alexander does in the near future. I think he's going to be a pretty good player, clearly. But I know I've kind of taken us off in the special teams thing, but this line, for Georgia's defensive line coming into this thing, you don't think about them a lot. Honestly, their linebackers are probably more notable as individual players, the middle linebackers in particular. But this line...
It's a good linebacker room, man.
They're really good. This line permits those linebackers to run around. You don't want Smile Munden running around. You don't want Dumas Johnson running around on the field. These are not good things for the other team. You've got to get people on them. If you don't get people, you're not getting people on them if Georgia's defensive line is doing their part. Final thought.
Yeah, I mean, as a group, I think collectively the line will be better. Obviously, when you are missing Jalen, when Jalen Carter's ripped away from that group, that sucks. But I think as a collective group, it's a better group. Just because the experience, guys you think are going to take another step. I think it'll be a good defensive line. They got to, I don't know what the numbers were, but you want them to get a little bit more pressure. I guess early on in the season, that was more of an issue than it was as it carried on. Yeah. Some of that comes from the linebacker. It doesn't just come from the defensive line, but it starts there. I think it's a really good group. I think you see a step forward from a few guys.
I do like that shirt. Thanks for watching.